It was a bright morning at the military training facility, the kind where sunlight glinted sharply off polished boots and crisp uniforms. Marcus Allen, a black soldier in his early 30s, walked briskly across the parade ground, his uniform immaculate, medals gleaming, and posture perfectly straight. Today was inspection day, and every officer present had assembled to observe and critique the troops, though most focused on rank, posture, and the minutiae of minor errors. Marcus, despite years of service and distinction, had learned early in his career that respect had to be earned repeatedly, especially in environments where assumptions and prejudice lingered quietly beneath formal decorum. As he approached the line of senior officers, one of them, Lieutenant Harris, smirked subtly, whispering to a colleague. "Wonder how much he's actually done in the field," he said under his breath, a comment clearly meant to belittle Marcus. The officer next to him chuckled softly, and the two exchanged a glance filled with quiet amusement. Marcus heard nothing outwardly, but his trained eyes picked up the subtle shift in body language, the slight slackening of attention that often preceded attempts to undermine someone of his stature. He continued forward, expression calm, hands at his sides, every step measured. The inspection began. Marcus executed each maneuver flawlessly. Drill steps precise, posture perfect, eyes straight ahead. As he passed the line of officers, he offered a crisp salute, which was returned with a slight smirk from Lieutenant Harris, as if the gesture alone could not alter his preconceived notion. Other soldiers moved past with similar precision, yet Marcus's presence carried something more, an aura of quiet authority, cultivated over years of disciplined service, battles faced, and missions completed. When the inspection concluded, Lieutenant Harris motioned Marcus over with a teasing smile. "Allen," he said, voice lightly mocking, "why don't you tell us about your supposed achievements? We'd love to hear about your heroics in the field." A few other officers laughed quietly, looking at each other as if sharing a private joke at Marcus's expense. Marcus stopped, eyes steady, then reached for the chest pocket of his uniform, slowly producing a Medal of Honor, its gold gleaming under the bright morning sun. The laughter ceased instantly. The officers went silent, faces draining of color, eyes widening as the weight of the medal and the countless sacrifices and acts of bravery it represented sank in. Marcus held it deliberately, letting the gravity of his accomplishments speak louder than any words could. No one spoke for a long moment. The officers who had laughed moments ago now looked at Marcus with a mixture of awe, respect, and embarrassment. Marcus returned their gazes evenly, unshaken, then saluted again before moving on, leaving behind a clear and undeniable lesson. Bravery, honor, and achievement cannot be diminished by mockery or assumptions, and the truth of one's service is evident when the actions and sacrifices are undeniable. Later that afternoon, Marcus returned to the barracks, the weight of the Medal of Honor resting lightly against his chest, yet heavy with the responsibility it symbolized. The laughter he had faced earlier still lingered in his mind, not as anger, but as a reminder of the persistent assumptions some carried about soldiers who did not fit their expectations. He moved through the hallways with calm purpose, acknowledging fellow soldiers with a nod, checking in briefly with his squad, and maintaining the discipline that had defined his career. His reputation among peers had long been established through countless missions, acts of valor, and consistent leadership, yet he understood that public perception and recognition often lagged behind true accomplishment. In the mess hall, whispers began to circulate. Soldiers who had witnessed the morning inspection shared their surprise, recounting how Marcus had been mocked and then revealed the Medal of Honor, leaving the officers stunned into silence. The story spread quickly, not as gossip, but as a quiet reinforcement of the respect Marcus had earned. Younger soldiers looked to him with admiration, noting not only his skill and bravery, but his unwavering composure in the face of condescension. Marcus listened politely to their remarks, offering guidance where appropriate, but never dwelling on the incident itself. For him, respect was demonstrated through consistent action, not reaction, and the morning had reinforced that principle in a public, undeniable way. Later, he met with his commanding officer to review mission assignments and training schedules. The conversation was strictly professional, but Marcus could sense the subtle shift in demeanor. Officers who had previously treated him with casual skepticism now acknowledged his authority with careful attention. He provided insights, recommendations, and assessments with the same precision he applied in the field, reinforcing that competence and integrity commanded respect in ways that arrogance and assumptions never could. As evening approached, Marcus walked across the training ground, the sun casting long shadows across the parade field. He reflected on the morning, the reactions of the officers, and the quiet but powerful influence of the Medal of Honor. It was more than a symbol of past bravery. It was a reminder that earned respect could not be mocked away, and that integrity, composure, and accomplishment spoke louder than any laughter or doubt. As he returned to his quarters, Marcus carried himself with calm assurance, fully aware that the lessons of the morning would resonate far beyond the inspection line, influencing both peers and superiors in ways that were subtle, enduring, and impossible to ignore. By midweek, the story of Marcus's morning inspection had begun to spread quietly through the base. Fellow soldiers spoke in hushed tones about the way he had been mocked, the laughter of officers cutting through the tension, and the instant shift in the room when he revealed the Medal of Honor. The tale was not told to belittle the officers, but to underscore Marcus's composure, courage, and unshakable professionalism. Younger recruits, in particular, observed him with a newfound respect, understanding that true authority was demonstrated not through loud words or displays of ego, but through skill, discipline, and the undeniable evidence of one's actions. Marcus continued his daily routine with meticulous precision. He supervised training exercises, reviewed operational reports, and checked equipment, ensuring that every detail was accounted for. His demeanor remained calm, almost serene, a contrast to the lingering tension among some officers who had not yet processed the morning's events. He knew the power of example. By remaining composed and professional, he reinforced a culture of respect and accountability without needing to lecture or confront. Later in the day, he was approached by several officers who had observed the incident. Their tone was cautious, even tentative, as they asked for his advice on training methods and leadership strategies. Marcus provided clear, actionable guidance, emphasizing teamwork, discipline, and precision. He never referenced the mockery or the medal directly, but the weight of his accomplishments was implicit in every word and gesture. Their initial discomfort gradually shifted into genuine respect, as they realized that the courage and competence demonstrated by Marcus in the field could not be undermined by their assumptions or casual laughter. By evening, Marcus walked across the parade ground, inspecting drills and speaking quietly with recruits. The sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the base, and shadows stretched across the polished boots and neatly pressed uniforms. He reflected on the reactions he had seen: officers silenced, peers inspired, and the younger soldiers learning a vital lesson. Authority and respect are earned through consistent excellence, integrity, and composure. Marcus's life and service were a testament to that principle, and every moment reinforced it. As he returned to the barracks, Medal of Honor pinned proudly on his chest, he carried not just recognition, but the quiet satisfaction of having demonstrated that true honor cannot be mocked, dismissed, or diminished. The next morning, Marcus arrived at the training facility earlier than usual, the crisp air carrying the faint scent of morning dew and polished metal. The events of the prior week remained fresh in his mind, though he carried them lightly, not as a burden, but as a quiet affirmation of the respect his service demanded. As he stepped onto the parade ground, the rows of soldiers aligned for morning drills, he observed with a practiced eye, noting the precision of movements, the attention to detail, and the subtle dynamics among officers and recruits. The officers who had mocked him before now regarded him with cautious respect, a shift that was visible in their posture and attentiveness, even if unspoken. Throughout the morning, Marcus led exercises with the same calm authority that had characterized him for years. Each command was clear, each correction measured, and each demonstration executed flawlessly. His presence alone had a stabilizing effect, calming nerves, focusing attention, and elevating the standard of performance for everyone present. Even officers who had been skeptical or dismissive previously began to adopt a more disciplined and attentive approach, recognizing that Marcus's experience and composure set a benchmark that could not be ignored. During a mid-morning briefing, Marcus reviewed operational plans with the team. He spoke with precision, outlining strategies, contingencies, and logistical considerations. Questions were posed, and he answered each with clarity, authority, and without condescension. His expertise was evident in every word, reinforcing the lesson from the inspection. Competence, preparation, and courage demanded respect. Officers who had once laughed now listened intently, internalizing the gravity of the service represented by the Medal of Honor pinned to his chest. By afternoon, Marcus supervised a field exercise designed to simulate high-stakes scenarios. Recruits and fellow soldiers moved through complex drills, guided by his steady instruction and feedback. The earlier mockery had faded into silence, replaced by an atmosphere of focus, diligence, and acknowledgement of genuine skill. Marcus walked among the participants, correcting posture, clarifying tactics, and offering encouragement. He remained calm, never flaunting his accomplishments, yet the Medal of Honor glinted subtly in the sunlight, a quiet but undeniable symbol of valor that reinforced his authority. As evening approached, Marcus returned to the barracks, reflecting on the day. The officers who had laughed at him had been taught, indirectly but powerfully, that true accomplishment and honor cannot be diminished by ignorance or arrogance. His example had shifted perceptions, not through confrontation but through composure, expertise, and the visible testament of courage that only those who had truly served could claim. He placed his uniform and gear carefully, preparing for the next day, fully aware that respect, once earned through action and integrity, could not be taken lightly or ignored. By midweek, Marcus's presence at the base had begun to shift the atmosphere in subtle but unmistakable ways. Officers and recruits alike moved with greater attention and focus, aware that they were under the observation of a soldier whose service and honors demanded respect. The memory of the morning when he revealed the Medal of Honor lingered quietly, serving as a reminder that arrogance and dismissiveness could be met not with retaliation, but with undeniable competence and composure. Marcus himself moved through the training exercises with precision and calm, offering guidance and correction to those under his supervision without ever flaunting his achievements, letting the medal speak for itself. During drills and exercises, his expertise became increasingly apparent. Soldiers who had previously questioned his authority now sought his input on strategies, tactics, and procedural nuances. He answered each inquiry with clarity and patience, reinforcing not only the technical standards required, but also the professional conduct expected from every member of the unit. The officers who had mocked him could not deny the truth of his experience, skill, and the courage that had earned him the highest military honor. Each interaction subtly recalibrated their perceptions, leaving no room for dismissiveness or bias. Later in the day, Marcus reviewed reports from field exercises, identifying strengths, weaknesses, and areas for improvement. His analysis was meticulous, his recommendations precise, and his tone steady, a reflection of years of disciplined service in both training and active missions. The respect he commanded was now evident not only in the behavior of the recruits, but also in the attentiveness and consideration of officers who had once laughed at him. The Medal of Honor, worn subtly on his chest, was more than an emblem of past bravery. It was a constant reminder of the authority and accountability that came with service. By evening, as the sun cast long shadows across the parade ground, Marcus walked among the soldiers, observing their drills and offering brief, pointed guidance. The transformation in the unit was quiet but profound. Laughter replaced with attentiveness, skepticism replaced with respect, and assumption replaced with acknowledgement. Marcus moved through the base with calm assurance, fully aware that true honor was demonstrated not in moments of confrontation, but in consistent action, discipline, and integrity. Every step, every correction, every quiet gesture reinforced the lesson. Valor, skill, and composure demand recognition, and those who underestimate them inevitably learn that truth is inescapable. By the following week, Marcus's influence on the base had become increasingly apparent. Recruits and officers alike moved with heightened focus and discipline, their awareness sharpened by the quiet demonstration of authority and experience that Marcus embodied. The memory of the inspection and the reveal of the Medal of Honor served as an unspoken benchmark for behavior and professionalism, a reminder that competence and courage could not be dismissed or mocked. Marcus himself maintained a calm, purposeful routine, leading exercises, reviewing reports, and mentoring younger soldiers, his composure never faltering under scrutiny or expectation. Throughout daily drills, Marcus's expertise was unmistakable. He corrected errors with precision, offered guidance without condescension, and demonstrated strategies that combined years of field experience with keen analytical insight. Officers who had initially laughed or whispered doubts now listened intently, their demeanor shifting from casual dismissal to attentive respect. His presence served as a living lesson. Leadership is earned through action, mastery, and integrity, not assumed through rank or social bravado. Later in the afternoon, Marcus convened a small group of recruits for specialized training. He explained complex tactical scenarios, field maneuvers, and decision-making processes, breaking each concept into clear, actionable steps. The recruits absorbed his instruction eagerly, and even senior officers who had once questioned him observed in silence, internalizing the depth of knowledge and composure he displayed. The Medal of Honor on his chest glinted in the sunlight streaming through the windows, a quiet emblem of his sacrifices and achievements, reinforcing the authority he wielded effortlessly without arrogance or boastfulness. By evening, as Marcus walked across the parade ground, the base seemed transformed. The laughter and dismissiveness of the past week had given way to respect, attentiveness, and a subtle awareness of accountability among officers and recruits alike. He reflected briefly on the lessons embedded in the morning inspection. That honor cannot be diminished by ignorance, that skill demands recognition, and that integrity, combined with composure, leaves an indelible mark on those who witness it. Returning to the barracks, Marcus carried himself with quiet assurance, fully aware that his example would continue to shape the culture of the base long after the day ended, and that true respect is earned, sustained, and impossible to ignore when it is grounded in undeniable accomplishment. By the end of the week, Marcus's presence and actions had firmly established a lasting influence on the base. Officers who had initially laughed now treated him with unwavering respect, their previous assumptions replaced by recognition of his skill, courage, and authority. Recruits looked to him not just as a peer, but as a mentor, someone whose discipline, composure, and achievements served as a standard to emulate. The Medal of Honor he wore was more than a symbol. It was a tangible representation of years of sacrifice, bravery, and the integrity that defined every action he took. Throughout the week, Marcus continued his training routines, guiding exercises, reviewing strategies, and mentoring soldiers with the same calm authority he had demonstrated from the beginning. Every correction, every instruction, every demonstration reinforced the lesson he had imparted during that fateful inspection. True valor and competence cannot be diminished by arrogance, doubt, or mockery. Those who underestimate experience and skill inevitably confront the reality of their misjudgment, and Marcus's actions had done precisely that. By evening, as the sun set over the parade ground, Marcus paused for a moment, reflecting on the transformation he had observed. The environment had shifted, casual dismissiveness replaced with attentiveness, laughter replaced with measured focus, and skepticism replaced with respect. Even the officers who had doubted him had absorbed the lesson without confrontation, understanding that authority earned through action demands acknowledgement. Marcus moved through the base with quiet confidence, fully aware that his example had left an indelible mark on the culture, the recruits, and the peers around him. As he returned to his quarters, Medal of Honor gleaming in the fading light, Marcus carried not only the recognition of his achievements, but the knowledge that integrity, composure, and consistent excellence create influence far more enduring than any words or titles could. The base had learned, without a single shout, that honor commands respect, and that true leadership is measured not by mockery or assumptions, but by the unwavering demonstration of skill, courage, and character. Marcus settled in for the evening, confident that the lesson would resonate for years to come, and that the silent acknowledgement of his peers and officers was a tribute far more powerful than applause or praise ever could be.